In the church world, which is an ever-changing, ever-evolving, event-driven organization, maintenance mode is not, nor can it ever be, an option. Not if you want to be a part of a really growing church that is reaching new families for Christ continually. So what does it take? You have to learn forward thinking. And there's 3 things you need to know about forward thinking that will position you for success as you navigate through seasons of growth. Are you ready? I know we are. Let's do this. Welcome to the Small Town Big Church Leadership Podcast, a place where pastors, church leaders, and volunteers can grow themselves and the local church. We're pastors Brad and Misty Helton, church planters in rural America.
Before we get into today's episode, will you do us a favor? There are so many pastors, church leaders, and volunteers in small towns just like you and I that truly want to see supernatural growth. They want to reach as many people for Jesus in their communities as possible. You can help us get this podcast out and help more people than ever before by simply rating and reviewing this podcast wherever you consume this content.
You can also share this episode with your friends on social media, and that will help us a bunch. We want to thank you so much in advance. Now let's dig into today's content.
Forward thinking is crucial for every growing church. As fast-paced as our life is, it's easy to get caught up in what we call the whirlwind, that day-to-day normal things that take up so much of your time and energy, and in our case, those weekly responsibilities of church work. I mean, the weekend is coming, right? However, if we are always focused on just those absolutes of getting ready for the next weekend or just doing what has to be done today, then we are going to get ourselves in a place of constantly just being in maintenance mode. Right. It's like running on a treadmill. I mean, do we run on a treadmill? We do for our health, but do I like it? No. Why?
I do.
Because we're not going anywhere. I would rather go outside and run and go past things, right? And honestly, right. The fact is, we don't want to be in maintenance mode when it comes to our organizations, when it comes to our church. But Brad, it's really easy to slip into that, isn't it?
It is. And I love the old adage that says, in order for things to change, you have to change. It is easy. Let's be honest. It's easy for all of us to slip into that mode of just doing the same thing week in and week out. And if we're not careful, we have to really fight against our flesh from being lazy.
Well, and here's what really happens is we get comfortable. Mm-hmm. So like in the beginning when something is new, like when we planted the church, everything was new.
Everything's new.
But once you get in a routine and people get trained, it's really easy to get comfortable. And it's like...
And we're creatures of habit.
We are.
And so we like routine. We like to do the same things over and over and over. And it's comfortable.
Right. And
but that doesn't grow a church.
You want people, right. You want your volunteers to feel comfortable about where they serve, but you don't want to get to the point where you're so comfortable that you like get in a rut. And you just keep doing the same thing week after week after week after week. That does not produce growth.
No. And you get into a mentality of thinking to yourself, well, this is the way we've been doing it.
This is the way we've
always done it.
Oh, I've got to fight against that.
And we seldom think about maybe doing things differently.
As leaders, we cannot just look at where we are today. As a leader, leading an organization or leading a team, we've got to be looking forward. We have to be looking ahead at what is to come. Right. And so that is where we start into this list of 3 things. And the very first thing you have to do is anticipate. Right? What does it mean to anticipate? It means to expect, right? And so when you think about a church, we have to begin to expect or predict what is going to happen in a few weeks or a few months based on what we're doing right now.
Let me give an example real quick.
Yes.
I think about something I'm really not good at is keeping up with the weather.
Okay.
And I know, like, our daughter-in-law, Lainey, her and her family are always on it. Always know. If there's a storm coming, they know about it.
And we do not.
And I do not. And so she's got the best dad ever. He's always, texting her, hey, honey, there's a storm coming. Where are you? Are you okay? I'm not very good at it.
Right.
And I think about times like maybe we're on vacation or maybe we're traveling and or maybe a storm's coming and we're at home and a lot of times it's very last minute that we're scurrying around.
Right.
Like we look at the sky and we're like, oh no, the sky's getting dark. We look at the radar and we're like, it's time to take cover.
Yeah.
Something's going to happen. Tie down your trampoline or it ends up in the neighbor's yard.
Yes.
And you've gifted them with a trampoline that they never asked for. And so a lot of times, we have to be very intentional about looking ahead.
Right.
We have to get good at checking the weather, if you will, in ministry, and being able to predict, anticipate, okay, this, and this is about to happen. What do we need to do to be ready for it? What do we need to do to be prepared?
Yes. And in a church, let's just get really practical. If your church is seeing growth, okay, and you are starting to see the sanctuary fill up, anticipation is looking at it and saying, okay, how many seats do we have open right now?
Right.
If we've only got 50 seats available, we better be talking about going to another service.
Right.
Or are we talking about building? Or, what is our overflow plan?
And this is a challenge that we're dealing with currently at the time of this podcast recording. This is something we're navigating through right now.
Yes, because if you are, sharing the hope of Jesus with your community and those new families are coming in, this is going to be across the board. If your sanctuary is getting full, that means your parking lots are getting full. That means your lobbies are getting full.
Everything.
Your kids' buildings are getting full. And so in every single zone, leaders have got to anticipate, where will we be 1 month from now? Where will we be 3 months from now?
Right.
What do we need to do to get ready for that kind of growth?
Yeah.
The second thing you have to do is innovate. Now, some people are really good at this. When we say innovate, what we're really talking about is coming up with the new idea or the new strategy.
The new way of doing things.
To accommodate the growth that's about to happen.
Right.
And so some people, they're really good at it. Brad, you are naturally really good at big ideas.
Right.
Okay? Right. Other people would just be like, I am terrible at coming up with new ideas. Like,
and
I'll
that's
help
okay
you execute
because you have other
it.
gifts. That's right.
Yes, but it comes back to what you said. Get some people around you. You can bring your team together and you can even do it as a team. Have a team meeting where you're providing some food and we're just talking about, guys, like, what are some of the things coming down the pike? What are we going to need to change? And then how can we innovate? What's some new ideas to be able to facilitate this growth?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the key here too is to remember that there are no rules.
Right.
There are no rules. Just because and we touched on this earlier, just because you've done something a certain way.
Right.
I don't care if you've done it for 15, 20, 50 years.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. There are no rules. Everything's on the table as being subject to change. You can try something different. You can think outside the box. The message and the hope of Jesus Christ.
Right. That's what I was going to say.
Will never change. The gospel message doesn't change, but our methods, the way in which we share and strategize executing the message.
It has to change.
It has to change.
It has to.
Because everything around us is constantly changing.
Yes. I heard the other day a leadership talk, and they were talking about how our culture is ever changing.
Yeah.
Like, the only constant in this world is change. And if the church doesn't change with the culture, then we are just going to be behind. And we're not talking about the message. The message of Jesus, the good news, it never changes. The mission of your church doesn't change. But how you strategize to win the lost, sometimes those logistics need to change. And really, we're talking so much in respect to buildings and the way that we handle, getting the people in and out. And for us, we want to make sure that every new family who walks through the door, that we are literally making a connection with them, that we're getting their name, that we're giving them a gift, that we are putting them into a retention plan that says, you're not just a number. You're not just a face in the crowd. Yeah. We want you to be a part of our family. We want you to know everything that's going on. That takes a lot of intentionality. And honestly, if you've got 5 new people walking through the door, you can have one plan. But when you have 40 new people walking through the door on a Sunday morning, you got to have a different strategy. Right. But then the third thing is initiate. And the reason I say people get it wrong is I think a lot of times people will sit around in a circle coming
has
up
an idea.
with new ideas. Yeah. Like, oh, we could do this. Or we could do this.
Or you should do this.
Or you should do this. But then there comes a point where you have to take the ideas, put it onto paper, put a strategy into place, and execute it. Some people are going to be more gifted at it than others. It's really why it's important to have a team mentality for leadership to come together to talk through, hash out maybe different departments or all the staff together, and then different departments. Everybody won't be great at every part of this, but you have got to be forward thinking as leaders if you expect to continue to see growth in your organization.
And you have to be adaptable.
Yes.
You have to leave room for forgiveness.
You're going to make mistakes.
You have to understand in this stage of growth, when you are initiating a new strategy or a plan, there are absolutely 1,000% there's going to be things that you thought were going to work really well until the people are in the room and you realize that bombed. That absolutely, and let's just get real with each other in ministry, you're constantly trying new things. And there is constantly a reality around us that some things just don't work, and it's okay.
And really, a lot of times the reason people struggle to even put something new into action is that they are afraid of failure. They are like, what if it doesn't work? What if it does?
What if it does?
And so you can't get stuck in that, tabling the new idea forever. You just have to try it. Otherwise, guys, what will happen is you'll have growth and you'll hit the ceiling and you'll go back down. And you'll have growth and you'll hit the ceiling and you'll go back down. You've got to push past that. You've got to anticipate, innovate, and initiate if you're going to continue to see growth in your organization. And it's the leader's job to make sure that those three things are in place and we are forward thinking.
And I'll say too, just in closing, hey, change is scary. It is intimidating to try new things that you've never tried before, especially when I think back with us going to a second, third, and fourth service. It was terrifying. And we, thank God that we had great mentors around us that had already done it. And they said, you just got to punch fear in the face. Have you prayed about it? Do you feel like you've got a good plan? Has, the Holy Spirit's discernment given you a peace that this is the right direction? Then don't question yourself. Don't question what the Lord has already told you. You just got to do it. You got to step out in faith and just try it and know there's going to be mistakes. You know? And it's okay because that's how you grow. And that's how you move forward with forward thinking. We hope today's podcast has been a blessing to you. If it has, we'd love for you to jump in the comments wherever you're enjoying this content and just let us know. We'd love to hear back from you. God bless you guys. We will see you next time.